moving in from underdeveloped countries that are bringing these things into our country. But again, if your immune system is debilitated, disease, viruses, bacteria, they don't have a place anywhere to multiply if your pH is in balance. And I can't say that enough. 3.5 acidic, you're dead. A cadaver,
right, you can't get
3.5. And we've got people walking around with 5.0, 5.5, 6.0. Your body is a living, breathing, walking manufacturing plant for an environment that these types of bacteria and viruses live in and multiply in. So if there's no place, they have no place on healthy tissue. That's why the immune system, people can be exposed to things and not end up getting sick. It has to do with the pH environment of their body. It has to do with that immune strength. So even though we have this influx coming in from underdeveloped countries to come into our country, and but the problem is you're getting sick from these things, and the problem is coming from your body in its poor condition of health is a host feeding ground for viruses and bacteria to replicate. So again, it goes back to taking control of what you can control, like as far as the air purification, alkaline water machines, quality supplements, quality essential oils. Control what you can, because there's a whole lot of things out there that you can't control. And we're not going to be able to control.
That's right.
Unfortunately.
I just kind of,
I'm going to go
did have a point
to,
for all that because,
there's
no sense in, since, some of these diseases are coming back, don't get scared and go get inoculated.
No. Become afraid and get yourself well.
Please, by all means, go get inoculated if you feel like you have to.
If that's what you believe in, yeah.
There are things that you can do.
Exactly.
To fight it off naturally.
Exactly. And whenever you have like excessive mucus conditions in the body, this is the kind of debris. That's the debris in the body that the viruses and bacteria can live on. So, there's things that you can do to help break up that congestion. kingdomofhealing.com. There's an awesome product called ALJ. And what that does is it feeds and it strengthens the lungs. It has herbs in there that liquefy the mucus so that if you have a high enough fluid intake, that mucus that gets real sticky and you can't move and it's a dry, hacking cough, it's dry. You need to hydrate that. You need more water. Absolutely more water.
Especially here in Colorado, man. I've noticed that a lot of people do get dehydrated quite a bit. They forget to drink water because, they feel that it's cooler outside. You're not as thirsty.
And that's true.
And but you almost have to really force yourself to remember to drink water.
And it's like the easiest way to meet the needs of the water in the body is to take your body weight, divide it in half, convert that to ounces, and that's what you need in a 24-hour period of time
to
properly hydrate.
So that'd be 80. So I need 8 ounces.
You need 80.
80 ounces.
You need 80 ounces. 64 ounces is a half a gallon.
Okay. So almost 3/4 of a gallon, or
and
it would
then,
be 3/4
and then
or more.
Another 16-ounce glass. You need a half a gallon plus a 16-ounce glass of water. So when you start looking at it like that, it's like, wow, do you drink that much water in a day?
No.
And if you don't, you should.
Right? So 80, well, that's like taking 80 shots. I know I don't do that in
a day. No shots. Yeah, meaning not a shot, just a 1 ounce. 1 ounce.
A shot glass is a 1 ounce.
You need, right, exactly.
So you figure, I mean.
Yeah, and you need 80 ounces of water a day. So you need 2 of those in about a 20-ounce glass as well.
It's 1 quart.
Wait a minute.
2.7 fluid ounces. That can't be right. It's 1.5 liters.
1.5 liters.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's more than a quart. So
1 quart, 1 pint, 2.7 fluid ounces.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll do good with. You need to drink 2 of those a day.
50.7 fluid ounces.
So you need to do that from breakfast to lunch, and then from about mid-afternoon, and then another one mid-afternoon to bedtime, and down them babies. You need 2. You need 2 of those a day.
Wow.
Exactly. So, there's the ALJ that breaks down the...
a little weight? No.
You don't need to. But, so the ALJ helps to break down the mucus, and it helps to strengthen the lungs so that if you are sick with the flu, that doesn't go into the lungs and turn in and manifest itself into pneumonia.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So it helps to...
So that's not a fun experience.
No, and from an iridology standpoint, over the years, when you sit down with someone and you're analyzing and you're interpreting what you're seeing in the iris of the eye, it never fails. People who have had pneumonia will show a darkening of the fiber in the reflex area to the lower lung. So pneumonia goes deep in the lungs.
Uh-huh.
It goes very deep. And I can always, when I'm looking, I'll say to them, this tissue looks really, really dark. You have some damaged tissue in the bottom of your lung here, in your left lung, in your right lung. Did you ever have pneumonia? Well, yeah, I had pneumonia. Yeah, well, you had pneumonia in this left lung. Or if it's in both lungs, it's like you had pneumonia in both of your lungs. And they're always shocked. It's like, wow,
right.
How did you know that? And if it shows up in one organ, how you can peg what side of the body it was on.
Right. But I tell you, that iridology is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
But, I had a niece that had gotten pneumonia, young.
Mm-hmm.
But it started so deep in that lung that she had to have the bottom quarter of the lung removed.
My goodness.
So it's not something to mess around with,
No, because that tissue cannot, once it's damaged, we can rebuild anything.
So
if you give it the right nutrients.
Like if you feel like
Well, the thing is to clear the mucus away. And then last week, I had referred to one of the essential oils as DDS, and it's actually DDR. Prime.
Okay.
And that's on the Herbal Medicine DR.com. herbalmedicinedr.com. DDR Prime. And that is where, you genetically, you've got some damage there. And that bottle is a good-sized bottle. It's like 30 milliliters. It's $55. 30 milliliters. And there is enough in there to last 2 months. So that's not...
$25 a month, basically.
Exactly. And, you just, 3 drops twice a day in some water. And there's a lot of scientific research on that for correcting some of these RNA problems and DNA problems that have developed over the type of toxic environment that we live in. The other thing is that it helps to correct problems from a long-standing illness, say like with the pneumonia, that would help, to save having the lower lobes of the lung removed by triggering and stimulating new cellular regeneration. That new cellular regeneration also takes place from stem cells. And I've talked about the stem cells, before. I mean, in our bone marrow, every time a stem cell leaves the bone marrow and migrates into the bloodstream, a sister cell stays behind stem cell. So it's not like you have this flooding of stem cells and you run out of stem cells. It doesn't happen. It migrates from the bone marrow and makes its way into the bloodstream, and the sister stem cell stays behind. And one of the best things for releasing those stem cells is the super algae product. It has in it blue-green algae, it has chlorella, it has the red marine, spirulina, and so these algae actually help in the triggering and the releasing of the stem cells. And then we know that stem cells will go to a weakened area, and that stem cell goes up next to that tissue, and it helps to generate the replication of that new tissue, new cellular activity to make new tissue, so that the organ has the ability to correct itself and heal itself. So algae are really, really important to have in the diet. The other thing I want to talk about here with the flu and colds, the Silver Shield. It's a natural antiseptic, it's antiviral, it's antibacterial. It does penetrate the cell, and how it has the ability to, it penetrates the cell and it pulls in oxygen. And some of these silver products, like, I don't know, what was it, 5-6 years ago, when the FDA was trying to take all silver products across the board away, off the shelves. And I think it was probably about 5 years ago. I think it was 2008, 2009. That it's like every time you turned on the TV, hey, there's the blue guy.
Right.
There's the blue guy, and he's talking about, oh yeah, I would just drink all this colloidal homemade silver. Well, if the silver molecule is too big, then what happens is it doesn't make it to permeate through the cell wall. It puddles. It's too big. It can't make it through the cell wall. So it puddles outside of the cell. And what it does is it pulls oxygen from the cell that it is puddled up next to, that it can't make its way into. The purpose of silver is to penetrate the cell wall and to bring in an oxygen molecule, because the actual oxygen pulled into the cell stops the bacteria or the virus from multiplying. Absence of oxygen in the cell is called anaerobic. And disease and bacteria grow and multiply in an anaerobic state. So anaerobic means absence of oxygen. So you never want the absence of oxygen in the cell. By pulling more oxygen into the cell, you eradicate the virus or bacteria. So what was happening with the blue guy, and what happens with some of these homemade silvers, is if that particle is too big, it's not going to make its way into the cell and do what it needs to do. It can hurt your health because of the pulling of the oxygen from the cell, which then gives disease opportunity to multiply and manifest in the body. So the nanosilver is such a minute particle that makes its way into the cell. So the silver sol technology, which is nanosilver, and that's all been researched as well on its ability to penetrate the wall of the cell and deliver that oxygen. So, the nanosilver is something that I always have on hand, and we've got a 20 parts per million that is in